I was supposed to be on the panel, so I was very happy that I'll not be doing my usual role. But finally, I'm being pushed to doing the same thing. So with a little disappointment, but with enthusiasm, I'm taking it forward. The panel has been introduced, and the topic is very, very interesting. The distrust with the government. And I look at it with 3 points of view. First, was there trust any time? If there was, when did it start collapsing? And where are we right now? And fortunately, the panel is very good. If Ramakant Khalap and Vishnu can join us, then there will be somebody to defend the government. I know what Vijay is going to do. So you need somebody to defend the government. So I'm hoping that Vishnu Vag, with his usual schedule, reaches here on time before Vijay finishes. So
when we are talking about governance, I think 2012 began when people started talking about good governance. There are many of us, some of whom may be even present here, who formed a group called Friends of Good Governance. Because they believed that the governance that was there then had some lot of defects, let's say policy paralysis, indecisive governance. So people voted for Parivartan, a change. And they gave them a huge mandate. And the mandate was for good governance. Now from then to now, we have seen the public completely losing trust in governance. And we are now talking about ways and means to get the trust of the people back into governance. Now I think when we focus the whole issue on the group of people who are running the show in Goa, we have to understand that there are new terms which have been evolved in this period, between the period of them getting elected till date. Of late, there is something called weekend governance. That somebody comes from Delhi, he decides for them in Goa, and then we get the policies that are decided from Delhi. One of the points which I would like to stress on is that when there is a disconnect between the low command and the high command, there are many things which happen for which the people of Goa eventually suffer. During the Congress time, you had to go to Delhi and take every permission. Here the permission comes from Delhi directly every Saturday. But still the decisions taken are never in the interest of Goa. The last being that, the session that just got over yesterday, we have seen some sort of environmental terrorism being legitimized. That kill every tree. And if you can have a legislation that can kill every tree, then I think you are into something what they call good governance. Now, from here, if we want to get the faith of the people back into governance, I think we'll have to change the people who govern you. Because eventually bad people and bad situations make bad laws. Now, here is a case wherein if you want to start a beer factory, and if coconut comes in the way, you change the law and kill the coconut. So it's so easily done. And it's done in a very brazen fashion also. That nobody cares for the people, nobody cares about what the impact will be on the entire state, on the identity. And when we are talking on the day of the opinion poll, I think it is very relevant that the only way we can get people's faith back in governance is by changing the people who are going to govern you. And those people need to be with some sort of proper policies, programs, and you don't fall in love with them like you all fell in love in 2012 and gave the mandate to one person to do everything and anything with Goa. I think that is where the whole problem lies.
So there is no question of restoration of faith in this government because, you see, in 2012, I voted for this government. In 2014, again I voted for this government, believing that they will give us special status, which was a lie. Then they went on cutting hills everywhere. Destruction of natural heritage was going on. Regional plan has come up with huge issues. And the final nail in the coffin was the coconut tree. Now the coconut tree which is the symbol of Goa. And when they talk about Sanskriti, Srifal, Sanskriti, naturally the Srifal and the Kalpavruksha should be there, the main symbol of that. But they decided to chop the coconut tree, take it out of the nomenclature of tree, which was amended in 2008. There was an amendment which said that coconut is a tree and you require forest department permission. So that has been struck off in the assembly the other day, and that was the last nail in the coffin. So that day when we did the Chipko movement, Vijay Bab, Reginal Bab and others came there and they supported us. I really appreciate that when the MLAs come and stand with you and support a cause. Many people did say that it was a political movement. It was not a political movement. It was a movement to save the coconut tree, irrespective of whichever party you belong, whichever NGOs you belong. Everybody was there, and we decided to take a stand against the government. So there is no question of restoration of faith in this government. These people have lost faith in this government. So again, I'm not making a political statement, but in 2017, we need to decide. It is a very decisive year and will be a turning point. If we bring back these people, I'm not saying any party, if we bring back these people who have destroyed our natural heritage and environment, then we have nobody to blame but ourselves.
Spalji, my question is, you have heard both the views. So when people pin their hopes on one person or one regime or one party, and ultimately there is a feeling of betrayal, as you have heard from Prajal also. What should the electorate do? There is betrayal. There is already, you have seen the previous regime where you lost the faith, and that's why you brought somebody else to power. Now there is a feeling of betrayal with that regime also. How should electorate deal with that?
To answer your question, the first one, I mean the main, that's the point you have raised. The elections are now fought on a, I mean nobody fights election. The party, one of the parties losing anyway, that is in the government, the negative vote bank has created. So the other party just comes to power on riding that wave. And then that party also loses the next election and goes out. This kind of, but that is the thing, that has become the nature of elections. You don't fight elections, they are fought themselves. Somebody is losing and you are winning by default. Now, let me introduce myself, because I'm in very august company as a senior member of the Legislative Assembly, an MLA, one of the representatives of the people, Prajal, Professor, History, and Ricardo. And I'm the person who's a new resident of Goa. I came to reside in Goa only in 2011. But I come from a public family. My grandfather was a minister, very senior minister, a stalwart leader of Punjab from Lahore days. We were Unionists. And he was a member of the Constituent Assembly, one of the only nine independent members of the Constituent Assembly of India. He was a great jurist of his time. And he always defended the rights of the people. He was a leader of the peasants. And most of the important debates of the Constituent Assembly were peasant rights to land and their livelihood and many things. Their independence from moneylenders is debated. He stands there. And he became a minister later in the Congress governments of Punjab and made many important development plans for Punjab. He had 20 different portfolios, PWD, health. Many big things happened, and he remained absolutely clean, answerable to the people. My father also, when Punjab and Haryana became two states, remained a minister in Haryana right from the first assembly, and later on headed many important portfolios, power, public health, PWD, agriculture, health services, veterinary services, many diverse portfolios. And he was also a jurist, and I happened to work with him as an advisor during the 90s before I went abroad. So I had a close look at how governments work. And he, again, I learned from him about many things about governance and what is answerability to the people. because governments are not masters, they are actually servants of the people. This was a great topic for which you asked me to come. And myself, I have been a student of governance, and I also taught many aspects of governance. I did my history honors from St. Stephen's College. It gave me a great insight into the history and the evolution of India as a country and the world. And my master's from London was on China. I'm a specialist on East Asia, Japan, China, Taiwan, Korea, economic development, governance, foreign policy, all these aspects. And second, I was a research scholar at George Washington University, where I have the second master's, again, on Asian affairs, diverse politics, governance. And my PhD work was from Johns Hopkins University, where I also taught the subjects of international relations and political science. So when we talk about the collapsed governance, I think the main thing that comes up before every government, and this is a phenomena that is plaguing the whole of India. I'm rather very happy that in Goa you have this session, the future of Goa. You are actually debating, you have taken this step. I hope this becomes a feature in all state capitals before they go for elections. There is a debate where people come and talk. And I think one of the important things, was there trust any time? Yes, there was trust. When the country got it independent, when the Constituent Assembly was formed, when people debated the making of the Indian Constitution and how it was debated, it was very transparent. And very important things, how the powers to the people were devolved. And the whole thing was that it was people who would run the country through the elected representatives. I mean, the thing has become that now the elected representatives are running us. That is some fault on our side also. We failed to restrain them. When did it collapse? Maybe somewhere by the late 60s, the collapse had started. I would rather take the great plebiscite of Goa as the last point of this, from where the collapse starts. Because the plebiscite of Goa, where people decide whether they want to remain as Goa as a state or whether they want to be part of Maharashtra. It was a great experiment of democracy, Indian democracy. And sadly, after that, we don't hear of any plebiscites taking place in any other part of the country. So many momentous decisions have been taken, privatization of national wealth and other things. And the governments come for 5 years. They give out leases or privatize things for which in the next 30 years or 50 years or 100 years they privatize them when they are just there as trustees of the people for only 5 years. How can they? So nobody went to the people whether, look, we became your MPs or your MLAs. Do you want your wealth to be privatized? Have a plebiscite on it. No questions. No such things have been asked. So I would rather have the great plebiscite of Goa as the start from where the decline in the democratic institutions started, where the centralization of power began to happen, both largely at the central level, what Mr. Sardesai was saying very correctly. It is a phenomenon not only of Goa. I've seen it happening in many other states where the diktats come from Delhi. This was not supposed to be like that in the Constitution. It is a very federal in nature. There are state powers, there are central powers, and the concurrent list. The states are fully independent in the state list, and they are accountable to their people. So I think that this whole centralization of power, both in the office of the chief minister and then in the office of the prime minister, is a very undemocratic phenomena that has happened. And maybe it happened in other countries also, but we were not like that. We had a slightly better approach to democracy when our constitution was made. The nature of this collapse, I think the loss of transparency. Decision making is no longer transparent. Who makes it, and for whom it is being made, and what are the critical, there is no debate about it. It's not being put to the people. Secondly, accountability. Once the things are made, and some wrong happens, is anybody held accountable for that? No, I think that has collapsed also.